And in analyzing this, I've seen that there's a slight different way of looking at this project. Some people view it as an investment, a $25 million community investment, and some people view it as an important status symbol for our community. And those are just a real disconnect here, and they're legitimate points of view. There's no question about that. But the question is, I guess, is the threshold of reasonableness on this.
I think we need a convention center simply because it's almost an embarrassment to be as large a city as we are with two major universities and the amount of business that tries to come here to Denton that we cannot accommodate, not to have a convention center.
But I have an opinion on the business of the convention center. And it may be surprising to some people, and that I may be, hopefully I've not been labeled as being just negative about it. I'm absolutely 100% in favor of this, as long as O'Reilly pays for it. If it's an investment, if it's a real business deal, an investment, you're going to be looking at it for the numbers. They have to be real numbers, not speculation.
Impact annually would be $47 million. That would be the business that this hotel and convention center would bring to Denton. Over a 25-year period, $1.1 billion.
And looking into this, I tried to, want to investigate and go a little bit beyond just the boosters that were pushing it here locally. So I did a little research going outside. Didn't really take detective skills to find that there is a lot of problems in the public-private convention center complex, you might say. It is going on all over the country. I've found more than 40 articles that we have links to on Ben Huttash's preservation, or BentonPreservation.com, whatever it is. Ben, you're here. Tell me what that is. But anyway, but we've got the links to these. You can find them for yourself, or just Google it yourself, and you can see that our situation is not unique. There are communities just like ours all over the place with people pinning their hopes on a convention center to bring home the bacon for them. And they're all listening a lot of times to the same consultants, and they're doing it, and it's virtually the same deal all over the place. But they are presenting some problems, because a lot of them are, in fact, going under, creating all kinds of difficulties with their funding, and not many of them at all are performing to the level of the projections that the community was sold on them. And I've talked to some scholars on this. There's Dr. Haywood Sanders at the University of Texas at San Antonio, and he looked at our contract over and he said, yeah, this is just typical. This is just absolutely, nothing unusual here. We've seen it all over the place. But communities are finding themselves believing boosters, believing projections that are fantasies, and believing the dream, thinking it's going to be wonderful, when in fact it's not necessarily going to be that way. The project here, though it purports to be an innocent civic project, a civic convention center.
We are specifically talking about a city convention center.
It's really not at all going to be our convention center. I mean, we're going to be paying for it, but in fact this is purely and simply an example of a corporate welfare type of a deal. Purely and simply the hotel and the convention center inextricably linked together. It's so much not our convention center, even on our own spreadsheets when they discuss it, convention center and the hotel are not differentiated. They're lumped all together. They haven't got them in separate categories because they're the same thing. So essentially what we're doing is we're funding part of a hotel. The hotel wouldn't exist without this. We're funding an amenity for the hotel. And there may be public sentiment to do this. I don't know. Personally, I don't think it's that great of an idea, looking at the industry and what's going on with the industry, because if you look around, more and more communities have built more and more space. The attendance at these conventions is dropping down every year, so you have more basically a greater supply than there's a demand, and you have a problem there. And we're jumping into an industry right as it's sort of waning, as if someone suggests, I've got a great idea, let's put in a mall. And it's a little bit late for that.
Most of the talk has been about whether or not the conference center will make it. I don't know. I find it kind of an intriguing idea. But I do have a couple of problems with the way it's being sold to us. The developer comes as a private entity. He does this, wants to make money. So he comes to Denton, and he wants to draw in the city, the county, and the school. Because if it goes flop, they are liable.
I think there's a distinct difference, and everyone's kind of touched on it. Good for whom is the question that came to my mind. It's a great deal for O'Reilly. It's an okay deal for UNT. I don't think it's great for the citizens, and to that, I kind of tie that into a fair warning, which I've talked to DISD. I've not reached out to the county, but I will warn you that best I can tell, there'll be 2 or 3 council members that will term out because the city council has term limits. And so they'll be gone. County doesn't have term limits. DISD doesn't have term limits. So who's going to get stuck holding the bag when the voters go to the poll when this thing doesn't pan out as they purport it to be? And you can't list one, when directly asked by Mike, one example of another conference center on the planet that's in a neighborhood. The word growth comes up a lot. Grow where? I mean, at that point, whose house are we going to take? You know, if the initial project takes up all the land, where are we growing? Who invests in something that has no growth potential? So that's troubling to me, and I think Mike hit it square on when he said if we do this now, there's a future deal out there for us that we'll miss because we have a deal that doesn't work on a hill that O'Reilly likes. You notice he didn't say the citizens like it. He didn't say it was good for the city. It's O'Reilly likes it. They rank real low on my list of things to do. My request is to find one business professor anywhere from any school, I'll take it, that says this is a good deal. An independent professor at a college that says, I've looked at all this and this is a good deal. That way it's unbiased and it's an honest accounting of just what's been known for 2 years. And again, I find the numbers wanting after 2 years. Thank you very much.